After we found out that Steve had died, the question before us was, do we even want to do this anymore? And what was heartening to me, and not surprising, by the way, was that one by one, the staff, the studio, in one voice said, we want to continue and preserve Steve's legacy. And that was worth sharing. And I say that because when I was thinking about my remarks over the weekend, it occurred to me that bookending this dedication, I had a session with one of Steve's long-term clients that I was doing in his stead. And tomorrow morning I'm going into that control room to mix some music from another one of Steve's long-term clients. And it's worth noting, number one, because I think it deserves some reverence and gratitude that I and that we have been entrusted with this work. But also, the louder message for me was, it's not just electrical, it's you who also want to see Steve's legacy preserved and carried out, and that's worth mentioning. The other thing that I've been thinking about a lot is the word community and what it means to me. It was a conversation I had with John not too long ago, what it means to me and what it means to us. And I think it's ever evolving, and I think it deserves to be unpacked and examined from time to time. And my starting point was how I perceived Steve in community. And there are many, many circles that overlap. The three that came to mind for me were the city of Chicago, the Chicago music scene therein, and also music globally that he was engaged in. Specifically to the city of Chicago, he, whether the city knew it or not, he was a fantastic ambassador to our clientele from out of town and around the world. 5 continents? Does anybody have a count? At least 5 continents? That's not nothing. He conveyed what he knew and shared what he knew about, as a cultural ambassador, the arts, the politics, the entertainment, and more importantly, the food. Big ambassador of the food. And the fact is, he didn't just live in Chicago, he loved Chicago. And what was important to me today, again, while I'm not surprised, but getting to see in real time that Chicago loves him back is a big deal. The other thing I was thinking of was interns here, their last couple of days would come by and ask him for advice. Hey, I'm going out into the world. Anything you can tell me? And his answer was pretty much always, when you land at the place where you're going to be, go to the shows that you want to go to, be connected with the events that you want to be at, and the people who keep turning up, that is your community. Either start or engage with that community, nurture and be nurtured by that community. That to say, you're our community, and it's so meaningful today that we had this shared experience, and every time I walk by or drive by or bike by that sign, it's going to be a reminder to me that we're all here to preserve and carry out Steve's legacy. Thank you.
Hey everyone. We have pizza, by the way. Yeah, let's have a round of applause for pizza. Please grab some pizza, like now, before the music, after the music. We probably over-ordered a little bit. We'll probably be eating pizza for lunch here at the studio for the next few days. But yeah, please feel free to help yourselves. There's drinks in the cooler. My name's Taylor Hales. I'm the studio manager here, do tape transfers, engineer. It's lovely to see so many of your faces. I am going to read off my notes, if I can find them. So I want to talk for a few minutes about Steve and his pencils. And I have visual aids. I have 2 quick anecdotes. Here's the first one. So a few years back, there was a session from a client who hired out a string quartet to play string arrangements of their songs. and Spectral Quartet, who are dear friends of mine, and RIP Spectral Quartet. But they're lovely people and always do a great job. And after the session, Steve came into my office and handed me this pencil, and he said, Taylor, the violinist from this session left this pencil. And can you please contact the band and let them know that we will be here if they want to, whatever time they want to come pick up the pencil. And I think he sensed from my look that I thought he was joking, right? In my mind, it's insane that somebody would make a special trip across town to retrieve a pencil. And I think he saw that on my face and he said, Taylor, do you know what this pencil is? This is a Blackwing 602. And if you can see this pencil, it looks like a normal pencil, but it's got like kind of this weird like extended flat wide eraser thing. He's like, this is a Blackwing 602. This is a pencil that this violinist purchased specifically for annotating, for making corrections to her score. And then he walked out of the room. Mission accepted. I emailed Clara, and a couple days later, she wrote back and she's like, "It's cool, keep the pencil." And I never told Steve that, Clara was kind of dismissive of the idea of retrieving her pencil. I let him believe that he had a secret pencil sister, until his last day. But I realized that like seeing this pencil on the music stand, Steve really thought that he saw himself reflected, right? He saw somebody who for whom the pencil was like a sacred tool. Thank you, Steve. And I've had this pencil in my desk for like 6 or 7 years since then, as a reminder of that moment. Okay, anecdote number 2. Pencil, anecdote number 2. So we've always had electrical audio branded pencils. When I started, there was a box of probably 5,000 of these pencils. No, that's an exaggeration. Maybe 1,000 of these pencils. And we would give them to clients that were coming through tours as like a souvenir. We would give them to people that came through on tour. When we started doing our merch sales, we bundled them in bundles of 10 and started selling them. And we used them. We use when you're doing a tape session, you have regular occasion to document your session. And so we use the pencils. And 10 years into my time here, we've probably made it through 300 or 400 of the pencils. So we probably have 600 or 700 pencils left. And a few months ago, Brian Fox started, my coworker here, started working at Balthazar Repair Shop. And I think when he did, like a bundle of these pencils, these Balthazar audio system pencils kind of appeared in the studio. And Steve summoned me down to the studio a few days later. And he said, "Let me show you something." And now, "let me show you something," I had learned was code for, "You fucked something up. And I'm going to tell you about it." So he proceeded to hold this pencil in front of me, and he said, "I noticed there's some new pencils in the studio." And I noticed that Balthy, his pencils, have the nice polymer eraser on them. And I also noticed that these are probably cedar pencils. The wood is a finer type of wood, and the contrast between the letters, and he proceeded to literally list 3 or 4 ways that these pencils were superior to our electrical audio brand pencils. And in my head, I'm like, wait, he's doing a bit. He's doing that scene from American Psycho where the guy is literally driven into a murderous rage because because the other guy's business cards are better than his. And so I wait for him to break the bit, and he doesn't. And I realize, wait a second, he's totally serious. And, it occurred to me that, he was actually a little bit wounded because somebody had out-penciled us. To Steve, pencils were our thing. We were the pencil people, How is it conceivable that somebody had better pencils than us? And I think it kind of seems ridiculous to take pencils so seriously, but they're an indispensable tool in our line of work, and they were an indispensable tool in Steve's life. I think many of us here are audio engineers, or you probably know audio engineers if you're not an audio engineer. And audio engineers get obsessed with the tools of our trade. We spend fortunes on microphones. We go to sleep thinking about compressors. And to Steve, a simple number 2 pencil was as important of a tool as anything that sculpted sound, that moved sound, that shaped sound. a number 2 pencil was a tool of documentation, and recording to Steve at its core was documentation. There are kind of 2 levels of documentation that you're working on when you're doing a recording. With Steve, Steve chose to work on tape till his dying day because tape was a durable archival format, and so the critical task to Steve of recording was creating a document of the music that came through the studio. But then also to Steve, the pencil was a tool of a kind of micro level of documentation where you're taking note of all of these little decisions that you're making along the way. You're taking note of the guitar amp that the guitarist chose and what guitar they chose. You're taking note of what microphone you chose and whether you blended ambience into it. And I think that just speaks to Steve taking everything that he did so seriously, and specifically the mantle of documentation was kind of a reflection of just being really thorough and being really serious about respecting the work that you were doing and respecting the art of the people who had tasked you to record that work. When clients come into the studio, we have to build trust with them really quickly. And we have to make them feel comfortable being vulnerable and sharing their creativity and sharing themselves with us. And they have to feel that they have a partner in that artistic endeavor. And so documenting is also a way for us to show clients that we care, that we take that work seriously. We rarely know what to expect when we start a session with a new client, what the struggles and what the victories will be. But the most important thing is that we're ready to meet them with our best. And that was the most important lesson that I learned from Steve. And I think that's the Steve Albini way.
Hi, everyone. I didn't really prepare anything to say other than Steve pretty much changed my entire life, even before I ever met him. I work here. I'm one of the newer staff members, along with Mac. We've been here for about 2 years, both former interns. Steve inspired, I feel like, everything I did. I ended up working in numerous studios because of him. He would loan me out gear constantly. It's pretty much, I just can't imagine. He's pretty much, when people say you should never meet your heroes, they obviously never met Steve. Because Steve was pretty much everything you would ever want from someone you idolized and looked up to. He was direct. He was not arrogant. He was just amazing. And I'm sorry, I didn't expect to speak, but he meant everything to me. And I love this place. And I mean, I have the best coworkers in the world because he kind of just, everyone here is connected through Steve. And that's, I mean, just beautiful and amazing. Thank you.
There's still like 9 pizzas here.
Can't do this by ourselves, people.
Is she coming? Mac? This pizza's good. Where's it from?
Mac's feeling a little shy.
She's what?
She's just feeling a little shy.
Okay. Tell her to come up here and talk to me.
Okay. Yeah. I'll do this.
I just realized we're live streaming and I'm eating a fucking piece of pizza.
Is there still a live stream going?
Dante's makes really good pizza. Yeah, that's my.
Max, come now.
So I didn't meet Mac until after Steve died because I avoided the studio like the plague. And they introduced me to Mac as Mac, and I said, "Is that your name?" And she said, "No, it's Lauren." And I said, "Do you like the name Mac?" She said, "No." I go, "No, I said yes." And I go, "What the fuck?" And all I could imagine is like these boys are like, we're not going to work with a Lauren, we're going to work with a Mac. So I've been doing my best to pretend like I don't know who they're talking about when they say Mac, and I go, "Oh, you mean Lauren?" So Lauren is sort of shy,
Yeah.
but if you want to just talk about maybe how you discovered, how did you come here?
Yeah. I was just recommended to intern here when I was in college. I didn't know that much of place. I grew up in a very religious household where I wasn't allowed to listen to much music. So unlike a lot of other people working here, I didn't really grow up on Steve's music or music that Steve worked on. But when I went to school for audio, I had to absorb all the music I could in a really fast time. And when I found out about Steve and Steve's work and this place, I just immediately fell in love and deep dived everything. But what really brought me here in the first place was just an internship for audio engineering. And it just changed my life. I learned everything I know here. I learned how to act here, how to behave here, how to be a good engineer, how to work with, I don't know, yeah. My favorite story, I guess, about Steve that I think would describe him well, there's two. The first is the first session I worked on with him, I was running Pro Tools, which I did a lot when he started doing digital sessions, where he would just basically dictate what he wanted and I would carry it out on the computer. And at the end of a 9-hour day, which was not bad at all, he was like, "I'm so sorry to have kept you here so late." I'm like, "No, it's fine. I'm just at work. It's not even that late." He goes, No, please. He pulls $20 out of his pocket. He's like, "Please take this." I'm like, "Literally, it's fine. It's totally fine." He was like, No, seriously, please, thank you so much. I'm like, "I just sat here on the computer all day." And I don't know, that was just the first session, and it was so unnecessary, but it was just sweet. But the other thing I always think of with Steve, a couple months into working here, he asked me, "Well, so how are you liking working at Electrical Audio?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? It's the best, it's the greatest." He goes, "Oh, okay, good. How are you feeling like you're fitting in and everything?" I'm like, "I feel great, everyone's so nice." And I said, "I've never been more respected at any workplace," which is true. I started here when I was 22 years old. They employed a 22-year-old girl straight out of college. I had worked at a couple other studios before, but was treated really, really poorly. And I came here from a studio that was just horrible and treated me really poorly. And so I told him, "Yeah, I've never been more respected at any job than I've been here." And he said, "Oh, well, that makes me really upset, but also happy, I guess." And he said that one more time later about Rhode Island strip pizza. I'm from Rhode Island. Nobody knows. Strip pizza in Rhode Island is basically just really thin dough with pizza sauce on it and nothing else. And it's gross. And you would get it wrapped in saran wrap from the grocery store, just soaked in grease. It was disgusting. But I would eat it for lunch all the time. And when I was a kid. And he knew about that because he tends to know weird little things about everyone's state where they're from. Clients would come in and be like, "Oh, I'm from here." He's like, "Have you heard of this random thing?" Anyway, and so when I told him I had that strip pizza for lunch today, he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." And then I was like, "No, it was okay. I was a kid." He goes, "Okay, well, I'm glad." Anyway, Steve treated everyone with so much respect. I mean, again, being a 20-something-year-old girl in this field is not easy. So just being so welcomed and treated as a peer was being treated as a peer was just never something I had really fully felt and felt respected. So, and I still feel that way with everyone that works here. And it's just such a blessing and I'm very grateful. So, yeah, Steve changed my life and taught me a lot about this career and just how to live and treat people. So, yeah.
So that reminds me of a conversation that I was just having outside with Bonzi. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we were saying? I think that there's a perception of Steve, I mean, I don't think it, I know it, but of Steve that is wholly unfamiliar to the rest of us. And Bonzi.
Yeah, so I was born in Wisconsin, and I moved to Chicago in high school, and I came from not a musical background at all, and coming to Chicago, I was a singer-songwriter in my bedroom, alone, away from any community, and Steve was one of the first people that I met in the city, and I came to his door and I said, rang the doorbell, and he came to the door. I said, I'm Nina Ferraro. I'm 16 at the time, and I love your work. I'm the Pixies, Shellac, Big Black, Slint. I'm a huge fan. And he was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, let's work together. Let's do something. I was like, oh, thank you. And I left, and he emailed me, and he was like, yeah, let me know when you want to set up a session. And I did, and I set up a session. He connected me with the best musicians that he knew in Chicago, because I said, I need a band, I'm just one person. He was like, okay, here's some recommendations. And we put together a band. And that session, he treated me like an absolute equal, exactly the same as what Lauren said. Extremely professionally. Any idea I had, he was like, oh, you have this idea? Let's try it. Let's try to make it work. Let's see what we can do. And since then, I'm 29 now. I've worked at numerous studios. I've recorded 3 records since then, and no one has treated me like Steve treated me. No one has really lifted me up to the level of being an equal in the studio setting, the way that Steve did, and it changed my life. And I still think to this day, if I had not met Steve, if I had not worked with Steve, I'm not sure if I would still be doing music. It's a really difficult environment for people who are not already in the environment and accepted in the environment, and Steve accepted me, and he's one of the most amazing people I've ever had the privilege of meeting. So, thank you, Heather.
So I think our perspective is it takes some effort to treat people less than human, right? It takes some part of your ego to talk to people and to be in a working environment and treat them differently than you. So, it's not a lot to ask just to treat people as if they know what they're fucking talking about, and as if their art means something to them, I think he felt, I think a lot of people who are fans of Steve wished he had more input on other people's records, but it was it sort of disgusted him when he looked back in his beginning and how he put his influence on other people's records in the beginning. And so he spent the rest of his life trying to make sure that if you were in a band, that your band sounded exactly the way you wanted it to sound like. And because of that, we're going to have a band play here now. An invented band. It's the Belmont Adjacents.
Is that us? Is that our name? I've never been in a band where I didn't know the name of the band before. What are we starting with?
I'm a light rifle. I'm a light rifle.
You guys can give me like 5 minutes. Taylor's gonna grab some earplugs for.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I want to see it. It's okay if you walk out. Or should I do it?
And what if they all just walk in?
All right, no, I can paraphrase if you wish, because you're not expressing yourself very forcefully there. If anyone wants to leave, apparently, before we start, that's okay.
Or during.
Or during.
Because I know that feeling when you're,
But there's one
in a
caveat:
room.
you can't leave afterwards.
It's like you're
you
trapped.
can't leave afterwards.
Yep.
You have to leave now if you're going to leave.
Can we just disassociate?
Yes.
You can stare at the walls.
Just getting a drink, I swear.
Get some pizza.
Wait a minute.
Just getting a drink.
There's no drink.
Yes, there are.
Who's playing in the other studio?
Who said that?
It's a Fleetwood Mac cover band. You wouldn't like it.
Grab your pizza while you can. Why is everyone asking me where it's from? I didn't order it.
Sally, where's it from? Where's the pizza from?
Yeah. Oh, well, am I the pizza orderer? Where is it from? Who knows? Nobody knows. It's mystery pizza.
Dante's?
Google it. Okay. We're going to do 4 relatively brief punk songs, so you're not going to have to endure it for too long. But we did this at Steve's Memorial. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, and then they're gonna play here every Friday night.
If there's an interest, which there may not be after this.
Are we ready?
Well, God, what charisma. We're shooting it out there.
Have we got earplugs? Can we start then?
One would think nobody had been on stage before.
I've never played the drums before.
Yeah. Which? We're the electrical adjacents.
That's right.
Yep. And what's the history of that?
Electrical adjacents. Because we're adjacent to all the electrical bands, I
Ah.
think. That's what I would say. Character names?
Should we just... Are we allowed to
Oh, do we have our own individual names? That's right.
My name is Shadi Kerning.
I'm Sporty Spice.
I'm Dr. Frondi.
And who are you?
I was going to be him.
Peter Pudding!
I was going to be him. No.
You're Peter Pudding?
I'm Peter Pudding,
You're always
yeah.
Peter Pudding. All right. Let's do it.
Oh, we should tell them.
I'm a light rifle. Police in Iran. I'm a light rifle. They use it every day. breaks down easy, fits into a pram. A child can carry it, do it no harm. Armalite rifle and the Holy Trinity. It's used against you like Irish jokes on the BBC. Armalite rifle, police and IRA. Armalite rifle, use it every day. The rifle does harm, it shoots for miles. If the bullet gets you in the arm, destroys your inside. Armalite rifle, police and IRA. Armalite rifle, they use it every day. It'll do you harm, blow your legs off, blow your guts out. It'll do you damage, it'll do you damage. Damage, 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 damage.
My name is Little Skinny Hugo. Hugo. Little Hugo.
Little Hugo.
Drumming's a really interesting thing if you don't do it for years. It's not like riding a bike.
Well, you don't move anywhere.
What?
Well, when you ride a bike, you move. But in a drum
You can't go shopping with a drum kit now. There's no basket.
Next song. This features some. That's because we're in. Does everything sounds good?
Yes.
Tie the red silk scarf around my mouth. This protest leaves the hearing and the sight. Fantastic place to be, a place to live in. Forgive them, they are young and rich and wise. Cash rules everything around me. The slowest animals have upped and gone. An accident sits down with you for breakfast. Things are better, now we have the bond. A stranger pulls the white sheet from your body. Crutches tap the rhythm of a song. An accident sits down with you for breakfast. Things are better, now we have the bond. lovely girl slips slowly into ruin. The boys of summer scattered all around. We thought we were natural survivors. Forgive me if I go out with a bang. And Fred wrote this dance routine. Tie the red silk scarf around my mouth. You can join in, it's easy. This protest leaves the hearing and the sight. Don't come on. Fantastic place to be. It's good for you. A place to live in. Forgive them. They are young and rich and white. Put down your pizza for a moment. Cash rules everything around me. You can even do it small if you're shy. Slowest animals have upped and gone. And Max sits down with you for breakfast. Things are better now we have the bond.
Wow, thanks everybody for doing the moves.
You wrote that dance routine many years ago.
I got royalties on that.
Of anthrax, and that's something I don't wanna catch. I love control what I do with my mind. Nothing in there but sunshades for the blind. The things I sing are good for my health. Just yesterday I said to myself, and I feel like a beetle on its back. And there's no way for me to get up. Love will get you like a case of anthrax. And that's something I don't wanna catch. You like a case of anthrax, and that's something I don't wanna catch. Love will get you like a case of anthrax, and that's something I don't wanna catch.
Shockingly competent.
It's boring. It's so competent. Last night was much better. It just fell apart. Took us 3 hours to get through one song.
Yeah. There was a lot of crying.
Now we're just like slick.
Yep. Too
That's
slick.
what happens with punk
Too
rock.
slick.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our last song. So I don't know, is Kim doing something or not? I think she is, isn't she? Should she hear? She had to go. So, all right. So it's just us and then whatever else happens after. Lots of pizza and hanging around. Thank you, Heather.
drink, where were you? When I was lying home in bed, where were you? When I was watching from a distance, did you see me? You were standing in the queue, did you see me? You had yellow hair, did you see me? I wanna talk to you all night, do you like me? I wanna find out about your life, do you like me? Would you ever be my wife, do you like me? When I was waiting in the bar, where were you? When I was buying you a drink, where were you? When I was lying home in bed, where were you? When I was watching from a distance, did you see me? You were standing in the queue, did you see me? You had yellow hair, did you see me? I wanna talk to you all night, do you like me? I wanna find out about your life, do you like me? Would you ever be my wife, do you love me?
Thank you. Thanks very much.
So it's not bad when you know these guys, right? Makes putting together a show pretty easy. So I didn't give anybody any instructions and directions, and I apologize for that. Everybody just showed up and did what they thought I wanted them to do. And turned out pretty well, right? And we made $160,000 2 nights. So if anybody can figure out a way, Scott Goldstein, if anybody can figure out a way to make some money doing this, we need to keep this place up. I'm looking at you, Goldstein.
What are you looking at me for?
Because I'm saying we need to find a way to keep this place open.
I'm trying to figure out a way.
Look at this shit right here.
Believe me, Heather, you don't have to convince me of any of this.
I mean, I just bring you the talent. I just need somebody to do it. All right, well, thank you guys very much. Eat some pizza. That'll be the name of our show.